Hi everyone, and welcome to Zen and Tech, our weekly podcast focused on centering your inner geek and using technology to help you deal with the stresses of your connected life. I'm Rene, and your host for the show is Georgia. Before we begin, I just want to remind you that while Georgia is a therapist, she's not your therapist. Everything said or implied on this episode is for informational and entertainment purposes only, and shouldn't be taken in any way as a replacement for personal, professional care. Georgia, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm sick. I was dizzy. I'm running a fever. But yeah.
I'm sick and I haven't slept in 36 hours. But this is not a competition, Georgia. This is not about us. This is about the people. The Zen and Techers.
That it always is.
Absolutely.
It always is. So, what are we doing about today?
We are doing a review. We missed our last review, and I actually got some hate mail because of it, because apparently people figured out that we were doing it about every 10 episodes, and then we didn't do it on the third sequence of 10 episodes. So apparently some mathematicians in the audience realized that we'd skipped one of the Fibonacci sequence, and there was going to be a reckoning.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I don't want this to get into some, like, the movie Pi kind of thing. So let's get going and go through a whole bunch of where we were at.
So just to preface it, Zen and Tech is not a news show. Georgia doesn't deal with the latest topics of the day, so they don't expire. It's not like you listen to the podcast and it has no value the next week. These are all fundamental things that she's talking about, and the first episode on breathing is as good and important today as it is when she first did it. So the review episodes, we kind of go over what we've been working on for the last quote-unquote sessions, and we factor in a lot of the feedback that we get from you guys, and we just kind of do a little checkpoint and see what our progress has gotten to, right?
Exactly. And it's important. There are ways in which you can help yourself live a better, more fulfilled life.
And you deserve it.
Everyone deserves it. It's probably the most important thing. I think a lot of people spend a lot of time, a lot of money on their cars, on their house, on the clothing that they buy, yet we kind of don't look at ourselves. Like we'll be mean to ourselves, we'll hate on ourselves, but are we actually going to be working on making ourselves better, more fulfilled, and changing negative traits that are working against us? Rarely. It's a rare trait for people to actually want to be better people.
And that's frankly what this is all about. So we are going to go back to the last episode that we did. What was the last review that we did? Do you remember the show number?
It was 22, Critical.
Perfect. 21 review. Yeah, 22 Critical we were starting with. So this was about being able to both offer constructive criticism and deal with destructive criticism. And your basic idea was, can you take it? And how can you better dish it out? Not in terms of more meanly dish it out, but how can you more productively, beneficially dish it out?
If you are able to take criticism constructively and give it in a way that other people can hear it, life becomes magical. It's a very difficult thing. A lot of people have a hard time becoming exceptionally defensive when someone says, you know what, I don't think that that's the way that something should be done. They take it almost as it's a affront to their ego. And it's probably one of the first signs that there's an ego issue or a low self-esteem issue is that, when someone says something that might be mildly questioning of that person, that they're like, you know what, I can't handle that. So this show was all about taking care of that so that you don't have to feel so hurt and defensive when someone says something that, it might not be of the nicest manner, or might not even do it in a good way, and helps let you give criticism to others so that they can hear it and make themselves better instead of feeling hurt.
And it's not about the other person, right? It's not about letting them win or about not standing up for yourself. It's about you having and enjoying a better life.
Exactly, and being able to interact with other people to make them have better lives as well. It's all about your manner of dealing with conflict.
That goes back to one of the central themes of control. We don't have control over how they act. We only have control about how we react.
And it doesn't matter. People, it's probably one of the main things that happens is that people come in to, say, a session and they say to me, I want you to change like them. change this person. There's something that's happening wrong. But what ends up being is that, I say, you're the one here. one person can change a relationship. One person can make the difference in many different situations. And, you're the one that's here. So we have to work on that. They don't like that very often.
So this seemed to be a really hard episode for our listeners. It was one of those things where you could say it to them, but every time they were caught in the moment, it went back to almost like a primitive brain or a habitual reaction. It wasn't an easy thing to start to change.
It hits us on our ego. It hits us on our ego. Even the thought to say that I might be wrong, because that's what happens when someone gives you something that's a critique. You're wrong. That's really hard. So, yeah, how do you deal with being wrong? Usually, most people don't deal well with that.
No,
you have to be really, really strong to be able to say, okay.
You have to be strong to be wrong. New T-shirt.
To accept it, yes. Yeah.
From there, you moved on to work stress. And this was something that we actually got asked about a lot, because it's a different environment. You're moving from your home to your place of work. It's a completely different dynamic. There's a different social circle. You have bosses you have to contend with. You might have peer groups. And you kind of talked about setting expectations, setting boundaries, communicating, but also not letting the work you.
Right. It's about setting limits to what you expect, to what other people expect, so that you'll be able to get the most out of your situation. In the end, you get paid to do work, but you should not be taking your work home. That's really dangerous. And now that our technology is so invasive in that people can reach you 24/7, and they then expect that of you. And people often, especially type A personalities, really care about doing a good job. So if someone's upset at you or someone wants something more, they feel obliged that they should do it. So there's people that are actually working now around the clock. They're not getting paid anymore, but at least before, if you left your house, no one could reach you. Now with technology, you can go to dinner and your job can find you. And they might even say to you, well, why didn't you answer this email? You have to set really clear boundaries, because that is a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, again, I know there's some countries now that are working on laws that say that if your company gives you a BlackBerry, for example, they are responsible for paying you overtime if they expect you to use it outside of business hours.
Yeah, it makes sense. I like that. I like that a lot. But again, is it even worth it? Is it even worth it? I might say, you know what, just forget about it. Not worth it.
Yeah, but at the same token, you and I both work a lot. I mean, so
yeah.
It's an easy thing to say, but it's really hard to put into practice, because especially these days when you can sometimes find a career that you love and you enjoy doing, and you get a feeling of helping people or producing something, it's almost like a little bit intoxicating.
Yeah, it is. But again, I worked 1 week and I didn't see, my little one for like a week, and I was like, that's just not okay. That's just not all right. Or if, again, I'm in the field of helping people. So, if someone has a really serious issue, I want them to feel that they can contact me, and I like that. But again, I will always say, if I cannot, or if I'm in a situation where I'm not able to reply, I won't. But text I love. Text is quick, it's easy, it's efficient, it's done. Like voicemail is probably the opposite end of the spectrum. Someone sends me a voicemail, that's probably the most hateful thing. Please, no one send me voicemails. That is the most hateful thing that someone can do to me, because one, can I go on a rant on voicemails?
Yeah, absolutely.
I hate the fact that in voicemails I have to log through it, and I have to hear the first voicemail to get to the second voicemail. What's up with that?
Well, not on your iPhone. That's why you have your beautiful visual voicemail on your iPhone.
And then on the second thing is that I then, when they give me their number, I'm on my phone. There's usually no other paper products that are near me to write down their number. So I have to listen to the voicemail 2 or 3 times in order to find something so that I can write it down. And often people love to rant in their voicemails.
So why don't you get rid of voicemail and just not have it?
I would actually really like to, but unfortunately in my field, not everyone texts. And if someone's really seriously upset and has something wrong, they need to reach me. But I always say, please, send me a text. Text is preferable. Email is second. Give me a call, and voicemail is last.
So in my case, for example, I got an app ahead of time to review, and
Right.
I had to have the review up today when the embargo went down because, you know, every other site that had it to review was going to have it up, and you're damn skippy, I'm going to have mine up at the same time. But by consequence, I haven't slept for 36 hours, and I got my review up, but I feel non-human at this point.
Okay, may I ask the question?
Nothing's going to stop you.
Okay, which is true. But so you did the review. Why didn't you go to sleep after that?
I only finished the review. I ended up doing two. I did the actual review, and I did a head-to-head between that app and several other apps. And I only finished around 3 p.m. this afternoon, and then I had the Windows Phone
3
Central
p.m. this afternoon.
So I started at 11 o'clock last night, and I finished at 3 p.m. this afternoon. I did 2 videos, 2 long reviews. I went straight into doing the Windows Phone Central podcast. After that, I went to teach a jiu-jitsu class. Then I came back and did iPhone Live, and now this.
Yeah, that seems like way too much. Like we can do that in short spurts, but I would definitely be careful about that if you're going to be handling it in a long spurt because, you know, you just don't get it back. And the same thing for me. At least I had someone canceled and I took a nap at my office for 2 hours, which just helped me re-energize. Let's jump down to the holidays because this one is a huge one. I see a lot of people during holiday periods of time.
Yeah, it was ironic that they went right from work to asking us about the holidays. It's like, I've worked all year. I want to have a break. I finally have some time to myself, and my goddamn family shows up at my door and expects me to take care of them.
Exactly. Cook, clean, shop, complain.
And act happy that I'm doing it.
Well, and this is when people that might have conflicts get together. I see the most people during the holiday periods that come in because of different issues and things that bother them. Holiday times are rough. If you have like even an amazing happy family, there's still the stress of buying things if that's what you're what you believe in, or wrapping things, or cooking, or getting people over, or entertaining. And so if you add that to having perhaps an anxiety, it can come out to being exceptionally stressful.
And you know that you just said that if everything is perfect with the family, which quite often it's not. I mean, you might have rivalries that go back to childhood. You might have issues with your parents that cause acrimony to this day. You might have to deal with in-laws who may or may not, get along with you or even enjoy the fact that you exist. It is almost each and every family a Shakespearean novel in its intricacies.
Right. Right. And so we went into stress-free shopping, because that's probably one of the hardest things to do, is to shop in a period of time when everyone else is exceptionally stressed, angry, and having to shop. And I loved this episode. We went through some of the most amazing ideas of finding good gifts, finding easy ways to do it. You went through all different types of internet methods, which I'm now huge. Like, I'm buying things like crazy on the internet.
Well, if I was American, I'd live on Amazon Prime. I would just, like, every day I'd order a separate box of cereal.
I get things coming in. It's like little tiny gifts for me. Yes, online shopping is amazing. And if you're going to go out shopping, we have some tips for that as well on how to do that so it doesn't kill you. But I love it. I love it. Love it.
Yeah, and I would suggest that both these episodes, I mean, they're not only valuable over the holidays, because yes, Christmas is the holidays, New Year's is the holidays, but there's a lot of occasions that are going to come up. I mean, there's Thanksgiving in the fall. There's all sorts of long weekends, July 4th. There are occasions when families get together, reunions, and you can use these. You have to shop for birthdays. There's always going to be a stressful situation throughout the year, so you absolutely do not have to limit these to just the holidays.
No, I would say the shopping one is another, like, just must. It's just like a really great one that you'll use up. And Rene, you went through different tips and things to way that you can go through them that you might not. Some little ninja tips here and there. So take a peek at that.
And we went from that and we dove straight into self-esteem, because if we weren't feeling bad enough about ourselves before our families got at us and we spent all our money and had our credit card bills coming, boy, did we need some help after the holidays.
Probably one of my biggest questions is, how do I increase my self-worth? And probably one of the biggest issues is when you don't feel worthy or worthwhile. It's often a sign of a bigger issue, but how to actually deal with that and help that, huge, huge, huge. It's an inner process, and there's many different things to it. It's It's actually what my thesis was on, was about how to build self-esteem, because many people say they don't really know. But if you can work out a way to kind of, do things that you love, be a little better to yourself, be a little more loving, a little bit more caring, and
things
not
that
be
increase
so
your
critical.
bubble is what you said, I believe.
Yeah. It's, things that, and by increasing your bubble, I mean by, reaching out, trying something a little bit new, learning something, being around people that you like. So, stay away from the soul suckers, the people, if you're around a person, you actually hear this sound, and it's not a drain, then it's a soul sucker. You need to get away from people that take away from you.
Another analogy of yours that I like is almost like the Street Fighter Mortal Kombat life bar above your head. And every time you have a bad interaction, that gets smaller and smaller until you get knocked out or defeated or fatality'd or something. But every time you achieve something, it gets a little bit fuller and a little bit fuller, and then maybe you'll level up.
Exactly. We need to take a look and always pay attention to what our actual life meters are at. If we're at like 0 or 10, so say we're depressed, that's why people that are depressed won't go out, won't get out of bed. They don't have the energy. That cost to actually get up is way more than they can even do. And other people will say something ridiculous like, oh, just smile, or, buy yourself some chocolates. Well, my life meter's at 0. There's no way that I'm even going to be able to do that. We have to be aware of where we're at and allow us to have time to replenish that by doing stuff that we enjoy. I actually love doing my nails. It's one of those calming activities for me. So if I'm feeling stressed, I'm feeling upset, I'm feeling down, I might, go do my nails, make some jewelry, talk to people that are uplifting and make me feel better. And self-esteem is about doing that and then being okay with it. Don't then say, wow, I really am a horrible person. I spent all day doing nothing today. No.
And one of your things was taking a vacation, and when you came back, you shared your tips for how to have a stress-free family vacation or a road trip or whatever you had to do to get out of the rut and out of the everyday.
Right, stress-free travel.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting. I mean, you planned a lot ahead. You made sure you had a lot of things that would protect your gadgets, things that your kids could have fun with, but they wouldn't damage or hurt. It was preparedness sounds like it's very important.
It definitely is. Being prepared. I love to travel light. It's probably, I'm probably I might not be one of the few females. I'm sure that there's a lot of other females there that also like to travel light. But I like to travel light, travel simply, but also to kind of think ahead to make, the things that are important to me to have when I travel to be there. So we planned with a little bit of tech if we need to keep kids out of your hair. We planned with, how to, just in case you might lose something so you don't have to go through the stress of that. The favorite things that we deal with technology. Rene, you also went through a really nice travel app that will take care of all your itinerary for you.
Yeah, and that was interesting because we'll skip ahead one episode, but we had Phil Nickinson come on. I mean, he basically listened to the episode and he goes, "Oh, geez, fellas, you're traveling. You better have me on because I'm traveling 60 days out of the year." And he took more of a... Phil doesn't actually have a Texas accent. That was just me poking some fun. He actually travels for business, and he wanted to talk about some of the ways that he tries to make business travel less stressful, which is just as important as family travel, especially if you're doing a lot of it.
Right.
And we spoke about, so there's several apps that do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. It goes back to older episodes about decluttering. If there's something that will take up the onerous, annoying, repetitive task, and it takes a little bit more weight off of you, something extra off your plate.
Right. Exactly. And we also went through New Year's resolutions.
Yeah, because, I mean, they're easy to make, tough to keep, right?
Well, any time that you're doing something, like, I don't think that you should make any resolution that's just during the year, unless it's something that really care about that during the year. Like, if you're going to give up something like, say, chocolate or sugar, which I don't know why anyone would do that, but if you were going to do that, the odds of you keeping it, because it's not something that's salient to you during the year, probably not the greatest of ideas. But if you have something that is reasonable, the goals are within tiny things, or it's incremental, which I love. I love things.
Well, that was your whole goal setting episode, right? Is that you have to make small, achievable goals.
Exactly. Exactly. And enjoy that. Like enjoy saying, ah, you know what? I achieved this goal. And, maybe I didn't, not to give, then it's not an all or nothing thing. You're on the trek up the mountain as you climb. And then if you, fall down on one of them, well, you've already made 6 paces up the mountain. That's not that big of a loss. And you can continue up your track. You
Absolutely.
dust yourself off, go on and go to the next one.
You don't want to reinforce your feelings of failure. You want to start building habits and feelings of success.
Right.
And that kind of dovetails into another episode that we did about forgiveness, which was really hard. I mean, it wasn't just forgiving others. It was forgiving yourself. It was learning to judge the intentions and not the act, determining what you want out of a relationship that's maybe setting you up to feel like you need to forgive or be forgiven, and ultimately understanding what you can control and what you can't.
Right. I think that was one of our most powerful episodes in that it's such a hard thing to do. And I think that our chat room added a lot to that, why it's nice to be live so that you can interact with each other, because people talked about things that they had to go through and different types of forgiveness. So it might be things that your parents did, or things that a loved one did, or a sibling, or even yourself. It can be really hard to forgive. And the steps in forgiveness, like people often... I love the fact that people often come in and they want to skip right to forgiveness. Like they're like, it's over, it's done. Which is not really fair. Like you need to also go through the steps and allow yourself that.
You have to earn it, right?
Well, when you're at forgiveness, you have to, if you skip the steps, then you're not really forgiving because it's not truly real to you.
It's like taking a helicopter to the top of the mountain. You did not climb that mountain.
No, and it's not, you're not there yet, which is fine. But it's a wonderful thing to do, and you're not doing it for the other person. It is something that you're just doing for yourself. And you don't even need the other person to be involved in. It's all about you. And it's hard sometimes to look at why, or to be hurt and to think, that people could hurt me in a certain way, or I could hurt others in a certain way. But in order to get there, it's definitely a sense of peace, and to be able to, in the end, self-acceptance is the only way to peace. To be able to say, these are my good points, these are my bad points, but this is who I am, and
letting go.
And that's okay.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, and you picked it up right from there. Big cheer me up episode right after that one, dealing with depression.
Depression does not actually have to be depressing. It's a horrible thing to deal with, but there's ways out. And that's what I hope that people got from the episode, is that if you are depressed and you're going through depression, don't worry. There are things that you can do, people that can help you. There's medications, there's exercise, there's, many different things that will help you lead your way out of depression. And in the end, it also takes a little bit of belief and trust and keeping at it. It's all about the battle. It's not about the war. You just have to keep at it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the small battles every day. Those are the ones that wear us out, but those are also the ones that gain us victory.
Right. And so maybe your day, it's just, deciding to get out of bed and get dressed. And if that took you everything, I hope that you can be proud of that. And if you see someone else that's suffering with depression, I'm not sure if I actually spoke about this in the episode, but if someone is not able to manage it and you see them and they are truly suffering, if you can, find them a good person to speak to that can help them. Please try to do that for them, because there is hope, and sometimes you need someone else to help you through a journey. That's not a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign of trust. I wouldn't fix my own car knowing that I'm not a very good car mechanic. So if for some reason you need help with this, it makes sense to go to someone that's also a professional and that knows what they're doing and hopefully is specialized and has seen a lot of different cases with that. And fight and start the fight. And they can, when you're too tired to fight, they'll fight for you.
And we also went right from there into something a little bit different from us, but something that was pretty important. A bunch of us felt that our New Year's resolutions hadn't stuck. February had rolled around, we gotten lazy again. So we started up the Mobile Nations Fitness Challenge. And basically, where every week, we didn't put out this week's goals, let's put those out tomorrow, but every week we're setting small, attainable goals. We're working on eating better, exercising more, getting better cardio, being stronger. Any, like Georgia said, a goal that pertains to you, not compared to anybody else, but a goal that would make your life better. And we're giving away some prizes. Every site is doing this. Android Central, Crackberry, iMore, WP Central, WebOS Nation. On iMore, we're giving away an iPod Nano every week, and we're also giving away an IOU for an iPad 3 at the end of Fitness Month. It's the whole month of February. It's in the forums, forums.imore.com. You just go to the Health and Fitness Forum. And we thought we'd sweeten the pie a little bit, Georgia.
Do tell.
Yeah, we thought we would maybe... Hold on, let me just move some things away. We tried this out. We were going to do something with this for a show, but it didn't work out the way we wanted. So this is a review unit. It's not brand new, but it has only been used once or twice, so it is almost new. Let me get back here so people can see it.
Lift it up a little bit. Woohoo!
It is an Xbox Connect. We are giving away an Xbox Connect for Zen and Tech, and because we're already doing so much in the forums, we're just going to make it a simple Twitter follow retweet contest. So I'll have that posted up after the show.
So if you don't have Twitter, get it.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, you want to get a svelte body like Kevin, you need this. And it makes it so much more fun. Like playing the dance game, awesome, love it.
Yeah. Actually, maybe we'll do our video with the Superman, Georgia. We have to do our video still. Maybe this weekend I'll take on Georgia in Dance Revolution, and we'll make that our video.
Okay, you're on.
All right, you're going down.
Exactly.
So I think that's the end of. I mean, that was quite. Often we do very one after the other, very methodical episodes. But because it was the holidays, because we had so much going on, we touched on a really broad range of topics. It was very interesting.
What I like about it is that they were things that that we were feeling and experiencing at the time that we were experiencing it. So that made it a lot more fun to do.
Yeah.
When we were stressing about holidays, we're like, how can we make this better? And then we went through it, we discussed it, and we helped everyone else make it better.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Georgia, thank you very much for this review. I always enjoy these because it makes me, it keeps them alive in my mind. I don't want to just, talk about them and then forget them.
Right, and it helps let people have a little bit of an overview of where we're going and where we've been.
And they give us feedback, and it's nice to address it. I mean, we want the feedback. We want to hear what people are doing and how they're doing it. So keep sending it in. Where can we find out?
Yeah, and every episode we get some amazing emails from people about their life and what's happening to them. I love those. I absolutely adore it. So please do send.
Georgia, where can we find out more about you?
You can find me on the website, www.zenandtech.tv, and also on Twitter, Georgia, at GeorgiaTIPB.
And you can find me at Rene Ritchie. You can find me at mobilenations.com or imore.com. You can find both of us at Zen and Tech. You can email us at podcast@zenandtech or leave a comment on the show when it goes live on the blog. We are here usually each and every Sunday night. We will be back next Sunday night. We're going to have our Valentine's Day show, which should be a lot of fun. 10 p.m. right after Apps and Accessories Live. If you haven't already, please go to iTunes. Please subscribe. Please leave a rating. It encourages iTunes to feature us. More people can find out about the show. We can have an even bigger, badder-asser time. I want to thank everyone for joining us in the chat room. You guys are absolutely fantastic each and every week, and it would not be the same show without you.
Thank you so much.